M Shadows, and I play in Avenged Sevenfold.
Sort of like a retrospective kind of thing. Think back to when you first heard heavy music.
First heard heavy music. I think the first heavy music I heard, I'm young, remember, so I think me and the Rev were stealing CDs from Tower Records or something. We don't do that anymore, but we stole Far Beyond Driven, because it had just come out, Pantera record. And when that thing came out, we put it in for the first time and we heard it and just blew our minds. We couldn't believe like bands could play that fast and that heavy and that technical. So Pantera was the first heavy band we heard, and then from then on it was just like we got all the heavy metal we needed, like all the thrash metal, all the the 80s metal, anything from like Megadeth to Slayer to Metallica to Pantera to the more rock and roll stuff like Guns N' Roses. It's just everything across the board. We just were into everything.
Is that what inspired you to sing yourself?
I think our music is inspired by a lot of different things. Growing up in Southern California, there's a huge punk rock scene. There's huge, Bad Religion, No Effect. It all started over there in California. And to have a huge heavy metal influence with a huge punk rock influence is kind of what we got our sound based off of. So it was both those things. We were kind of more in the punk rock scene because metal wasn't really a scene at the time. It's kind of dying, but we loved heavy metal. So it was just the love for both those types of music and just the love for music in general. So that's what basically inspired us to play.
When you grew up as a young fan, did you do anything off the charts, like fanatical for bands that you loved?
Well, we were going to try to carve the Slayer in our arms like they had in Divine Intervention, but we're too much of pussies to do that. But that's what we wanted to do because it was crazy. Yeah, it was the idea was there, but no, I mean we went to all the shows we could. We were crazy fans. We did all the things that we would never do now. I wouldn't go sit in the pit for 12 hours and in the mud and just beat each other up. But we did that. We're always trying to get on stage dive, trying to get backstage. It's just we did the same things all these kids do that are here. So
you must look at them and see what they're doing, how you're moving them to do the same thing.
Totally.
It's gotta be cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just I know I'd never do that now because it's so exhausting and so going in the pit and beating each other up is a little rough at my age to be doing that, but a lot of people still do it, and it's cool. We respect those people for doing that. It's what keeps the bands going. So.
What was your first concert?
First concert? I used to always go to local shows. My first real concert? I couldn't even tell you. I remember the last concert I remember going to, or the first one I remember going to was Black Sabbath, Pantera. So, we went to that together. So, that was a good show. But I went to plenty of concerts before that. I just can't think of any of them.
And talk a little bit about Avenged Sevenfold and how you guys formed your band and how you met.
Well, we grew up together, so there wasn't really like looking for members or anything. It was more of we just grew up together. We wanted to be in a band, and looking back, we all realized how much we sucked when we began. But it was just all about we knew we were going someplace. We knew we needed to get to a certain point, so we just worked our asses off and practiced our instruments and really studied songwriting and really studied what you need to do to be a good band. And so it was just tons of hard work, and we just dedicated our whole lives to it. And now it's where it's at, which isn't up here yet, but it's getting there. It's moving along. So it's just all dedication, hard work. We've all been best friends. That really helps because if we get in fights, we all just kind of brush it off. It's not like, oh, I don't know you, get out of the band. It's always that's never going to happen.
How many years have you guys been playing together?
We've been playing together for 5 years, but we've known each other a lot longer than that.
What do you think of the music scene today?
I don't want to sound like it sucks, but I think all the older bands, like the Metallicas and the Panteras, even though the Pantera's not still around, but the bands that are still around, isn't the same as it used to be. Those bands were like powerhouses of metal. Those bands were huge and they could sell millions of records. I don't really see any metal bands nowadays that can sell millions of records, They do 100,000 records and it's like, oh, that's great. It's that's cool, but those bands were those bands made metal mainstream, and that was the difference between then and now. I think a band needs to come along and put metal back where, you know, it's listenable by everyone, but it's still like underground and special. So I don't think I don't think the scene really has that nowadays.
Do you feel that you might be able to bring that to the scene?
I know we can. I know we can. It's just the right opportunity and the right, you know, just if we last long enough.
I saw you at Irving Plaza 6-9 months ago or so, and I couldn't believe how many Brits came out because they appreciate your sound so much. Having the dual guitars, sounding like Iron Maiden, you've really garnered a huge following.
Yeah, totally.
In Britain as well.
Iron Maiden's a huge influence. You can't deny Iron Maiden, you know, they're brilliant. So it's definitely a huge influence, but I like to be able to bring a lot of different things that Iron Maiden doesn't bring to the table, which is, you know, why we sound different than anyone else.
What do you think your sound is? How would you describe what's injected into your sound that's different?
Different from Iron Maiden, I think we have like a lot of influences of, you know, we have influences of Metallica, Pantera, but I think there's just something there that you can't really call an influence. It's just something that happens when we write together. Something that is just what Avenged Sevenfold sounds like. And I think that's really important, that no one can really go and write songs exactly like we write them or sound the way we sound, because everyone in the band has distinct personalities in their instruments and like the way they play. So I know no guitar player is going to sound like Sinister. Someone might be better than him, but no one's going to sound like him, you know? Just like someone might be better than Kurt Hammett, but no one's going to sound like him. So it's just, you got to have the distinct personalities and, you know, individuality in your band that makes your sound. I think we have that.
Can you talk a little bit about the scene in SoCal?
Scene in SoCal?
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids in SoCal that like shitty music. A lot of kids in general that get into a scene, they like every single band that's in the scene, even if it's good or not. I think the hardcore scene's really big there, but I think a lot of crap's coming out of that, and bands, you know, they think, you know, because they play breakdowns, they're good songwriters or a good band. It's just not the way it is, you know. But, you know, time will weed all those bands out, and I think that happens with anything. When something gets popular, everyone tries to do it, and everyone wants to like the thing that no one else likes, and then, you know, it turns into a big commotion down there. That's kind of how Southern California is right now. But, you know, there's lots of good bands coming out of there too. So, well, I like the new 18 Visions record. It's, you know, it's more of a rock record, but they're good friends of mine. I think they made a good decision going with the rock and roll in this record. I don't know, other bands I love from Orange County, I don't know. 18 Visions is the one band that sticks out in my mind. The band that we would want to take out on tour if, you know, if we were going to take someone out from there.
Do bands in the SoCal scene help each other out at all? Is there somewhat of a...
Well, there's a help out and a backstabbing type of thing. You know, like if your band's smaller than the other band, they might help you out, and then as soon as you're bigger, it's fucking hate those guys. You know, it's just how it is with anything. You know, people jealousy gets involved, and people don't want other bands to do well. So it's kind of how it is with anything, I think.
Let's talk about touring a little bit. Can you talk about some bands you've been out on the road with, and maybe share some road stories with us?
Been out with. We went to England with the Lost Prophets, which was cool. Been out with Mushroom Head, Shadows Fall, God Forbid. Been out with Bleeding Through. Taken out Alexis on Fire, Nora, From On Bashes. Lots of bands, and there's always lots of crazy stories. The nicest groups of bands we met is like Lost Prophets were amazing. Mushroom Head, amazing guys, like completely different types of metal, different types of music, but we like playing with different types of bands that don't sound like us or aren't even close to the same type of kids, because we're all about expanding. But those bands have been super cool to us, and you know, it's always been good times with them. I don't know about any tour. I don't know about any tour stories.
Portland, you gotta have stories about Nora.
Nora. Carl's just a crazy motherfucker. He's just out of his mind, you know. When he gets drunk, it's a good time. He likes to go crazy. So that's all I'm gonna say about Carl before you know, he calls me up and he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But you know, Carl gets out of control. All the guys in Nora are great guys. We just have a good time with them. If you ask any of them, I'm sure they're gonna say the rest of Avenged, they're the craziest guys you'll ever meet. So I'm more low key, you know, like I stay good on the road.
How has Warped Tour affected your success, if at all? How do you feel about
I totally base our success on Warped Tour. Only because we toured for a couple of years, driving to shows in a couple cars. We'd go out with From On Bashes and we'd play in front of 5 kids, and then 20 kids, and it's like it wasn't getting us anywhere. And a lot of bands do that, but then we did Warped Tour one year, and all of a sudden you have a little bit more kids at those markets. And then you do Warped Tour the second year, and you're on a better stage, and all of a sudden, you know, you go back to any of those markets, and you have this type of fan base, and then you go to the markets you haven't been at Warped Tour, and your fan base is still small. So it's like, until you can get on radio or MTV, Warped Tour is the way to go with festival tours, because you're going to get in front of so many people that you could never get in front of. And it gets you a diverse crowd because there's so many types of kids here, and they're eating up the new music, you know, they just want to hear new stuff. So Warped Tour, I can't even put a price tag on how much it helped us. It's just been amazing.
Can you name a few bands that you think are pushing the envelope today?
Pushing the envelope.
You said 18 Visions.
I like 18 Visions. I think it's a good rock band. Pushing the envelope.
I mean, this is the question in which everyone says you're
Yeah.
band.
Well, that's very nice of them.
Yeah.
Bands I really like instrumentation-wise, well, I love Dream Theater. Yeah, that's the weirdo in me, but Dream Theater to me is just like the ultimate pinnacle band of you know, progressive music. On this tour, I love Billy Talent. I love their vocals. I love the vocalist in that band. He's got a great voice. I don't know much about pushing the envelope. Anything Mike Patton does, pushing the envelope. What other bands we listen to? See, I suck. I still listen to the same records. I still listen to Pantera, I listen to Metallica. That's all I listen to. So it's hard for me to say, you know, the new stuff. It's hard for me to get into new music.
Cool. Name some great songs.
Great songs.
Go ahead, some of the bands you mentioned.
From the Black album, I love Nothing Else Matters. Fade to Black. Anything from Pantera to me. Hollows, Cemetery Gates, great songs. See, I like all the softer songs, but because to me those are the great songs, you know. But the heavy stuff's what gets you pumped. So anything from those bands, you know. I'm just such a connoisseur of those bands. It's just I love everything they do. That's what I love about them. Put on the record and every song's great. That's what you know I want Avenged to be.
Name some cheesy songs.
Cheesy songs. I really don't know any cheesy songs.
Safer not to answer that.
Hey, the last track on Use Your Illusions 2, Guns N' Roses.
Oh, Get in the Ring?
No, not Get in the Ring. It's like that techno song that Axl did.
Oh yeah, My World.
My World. That's a cheesy song.
Yeah.
See, those are my two favorite records of all time. Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. And all of a sudden, they have that song at the end of the record, which kind of sucks. But that would be my cheesiest song.
Well, it's still better than what Axl's doing now.
Yeah, which is nothing.
Okay, funny question. If you could, aside from your current band, Avenged Sevenfold, and all your players, you could put together your dream band, your dream lineup, who would you have?
Man. I'd have Brooke Twackerman on the drums. I'd have play guitar. Probably John Petrucci play guitar. And I'd have Flea play the bass. And I'd do the vocals. That would be a fucked up band, but it would be cool. But even if I had to change that band for my band, I definitely wouldn't do it. I'm really happy with my band, and I'm stoked about them.
We're almost done. What part of your career do you enjoy the most? Being in a band.
To tell you the truth, I enjoy time off. Because I love playing and stuff, but it's still work. It's like, you don't really have to do anything all day. Like, I can't go talk like all day. I'm doing this interview, but just because we love you, Concrete. But you know, you can't talk all day, and you sing your set, and then I'm not supposed to talk at night. Just being a vocalist is kind of hard on the road, you know. Don't get a drink, but having time off, it's relaxing. You get to think about the good shows and get pumped for the next tour. But it's a good time to get to hang out with your friends and your family, and that's my favorite thing. I get more time off than most people.
Yeah, it's only gonna be a little while, huh?
Yeah, true.
kind of on the DIY, like modern punk scene. And you're just a little bit heavy for it. But we're just fans.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you in it.
Okay.
I just wanted to find a common thread, but maybe you could just talk for a little bit about how you feel about the internet and how it's affecting record sales.
Oh, like downloading and stuff?
Yeah, like
or do you mean like
your career and how do you think it's affecting
I think the internet's a quick way for rumors to spread and shitty things to happen. I think there's two sides of it. There's the downloading and there's the message boards where kids just go crazy and kind of ruin the whole music scene on there. Like kids go on there and just talk shit on every band in the world and there's no repercussions because they're not saying anything to anyone's face, you know, like you wouldn't believe how many things people like say about us on the internet, and then I've never had one kid come up and say anything to my face, you know. It's just kids just try to do shit on there. It's just kind of a joke, but you know, it gives little people little kids a place where they can talk their shit and, you know, act like they're tough, I guess.
But they also give props so much and spread a good word of mouth.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we're more of a hate internet band where people like to talk shit. Like, you know, fags, who wear makeup, this and that. It's just, you know, that happens to a lot of bands though, but if they're not talking about you, then that's a bad thing. If they are talking about you, it's good publicity. The downloading thing, I think it helps sometimes. I think if you're a multi-million record-selling band like Metallica, I think it sucks. Or like, you know, like any band that sold millions of records, because you're going to lose a lot of sales. If you're a band like us that's looking for new fans, it's good because you go to these markets and you have more kids at your shows than CDs you've sold in the market. So you know they're burning your CD, but at least they're buying merchandise, they're supporting your band, maybe they'll buy your next record. So it's good for us, but once you go and sell 5 million records, and your next record comes out and you do, you know, 700,000 copies, and you know, 700,000 copies are burned, it kind of sucks for your band because then your label gets mad and they drop you, and then all of a sudden you're losing out on good music because bands can't survive. Bands can't survive from getting ripped off. So
I guess it helps to be a good, strong live act then.
It does help to be a good, strong live act. Yeah. That's got to be an important thing. You got to have so many different aspects of your band. You got to be a good live band. You have to be a good studio band. And you have to be available to people and like be able to communicate with people and let them know, let them feel like as though they're a part of something. There's a lot of different things that are really important with a band.
Do you get online ever and chat with the fans?
I'll go on our message board every once in a while and talk to kids, and they enjoy that. So I'll do that just because I'm on there anyways, just checking stuff out and seeing what's going on. Seeing the latest rumor about Avenged Sevenfold.
I've always heard the good word of mouth, I don't know.
Oh, you got to hear the good one. That one on our message board now is that Zachy and Sinister were in Guitar Center and some kid was playing a riff, and they took out their recorders out of their pockets and recorded it, and that's what Unholy Confessions is. So we stole Unholy Confessions from some kid at Guitar Center. That's the rumor. Like, and some kids actually believe it. They're all, dude, that's fucked up. It's like, who carries a recorder on them, you know? Like, it's unbelievable. But kids start believing that stuff because they're, yeah, well.
All right, cool. Well, we're asking all the bands to kind of look in the camera and wish Concrete a happy 20th anniversary
All right.
in their own way. So.
I don't know what to say. What should I say?
Well, you can just say that.
No, I gotta say something good.
Okay. If you wanna think about it for a minute, if you ever wanna talk
Let's do a short and nice one.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, if you want to mention why you're thinking of it, anything Concrete's done to help you so far, and they've been integral in helping Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay.
They're your fans as well.
Yeah. All right, Concrete. Bob, thank you all so much for all the help, all the awareness you've given the kids about Avenged Sevenfold. See our posters everywhere. It's all because of you guys. We appreciate all the help, and we wish you a happy 20th anniversary and 20 more to come. Avenged Sevenfold loves you guys.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Very